Hello again. So yesterday I posted my first video discussing Nubia Real One, the new young adult graphic novel from DC. And, given that my channel is in its infancy, I got a comment and somebody else responded to that comment. So I was like, okay, cool. At least there's a discussion being had. And the comment was pretty good. It was another gentleman who has a YouTube channel, and he said, hey, as a black man, I kind of teetered around and was trying to be as respectful as possible. And I just said that, I think the story, I didn't even say it was flawed. I posed that question. Hey, is it flawed? In his response, he just said, hey, man, as a black man, this wasn't even flawed. This was terrible. He goes, it was really disheartening as a black man. And the writing was garbage. The art was hot trash, something like that. And I was like, great. I like that there's a discussion being had, and I like hearing his thoughts on it. And then somebody else responded to his comment with a similar view. So anyway, I could not help but continue thinking about Nubia Real One after the fact, after I posted that video. And I still do have video part 2 coming soon, where we're going to break down some of the art. I myself am an artist, self-taught, and I have been stressing for the last, year, just trying to, I traditionally do more realistic portraits and stuff, so I'm trying to teach myself how to draw with a more comic style, and it's actually very challenging. I'm also kind of a perfectionist, so that's why. But when I see the lazy art that was in this book, I'm just like, well, fuck, why am I even trying to learn figure drawing and proportions and perspective? And it's just, fuck it, throw it out the window. DC will publish anything. Fuck that, I want independent publishing. Anyway, but this is video 1.5. I didn't plan on making this one, but I had a thought last night after I shared the first video. And the thought was an alternate ending that Nubia could have used. And I already shared one, idea, just kind of saying like, hey, it could have taken this approach in video 1, or rather part 1. But I thought of another one, and I was just like, you know what? Wow, I feel like this would have been so much more satisfying. Now, really quick, I'll preface this. I am writing my first graphic novel right now, or rather, book 1 of a series. It's going to be longer than a traditional comic, but it's going to be shorter than a full-on, Watchmen-esque graphic novel. So I started writing it. I've been developing it for over a year, but I finally started putting pen on paper, in the last couple months. And as I'm going through, I'm like, ooh, this is how I can blend these character stories together. This is how I can develop this. Okay, how do I incorporate this person's backstory? And, it's very complex, the way I'm trying to weave a lot into it without having it be a clusterfuck. And I felt really good a couple weeks ago because I wrote chapters, and I do have chapters. So I wrote chapter 1, 2, 3, and I was like, this is great. It's coming along, but I really didn't know where to go after 3. I knew where I wanted the story to go, but I didn't know how to get there. And I eventually wrote the end of the book. And by doing so, it allowed me to go back and, okay, now I know where it's ending. This is great because now my story arcs, I see the full arc for this book. All right, I see where it takes off, I see where it curves, and I see where it lands. And if you do it well, if you write a good story arc, your conclusion should be satisfying. It should provide some closure or some payoff, if you will. And I was like, ooh, wow. All right, now that I know where the book's ending, I can really set up for a better payoff. So I went back and I revised and edited my first 3 chapters. And it was really crazy because I was like, well, in chapter 1, my characters do this. It involves a bank robbery. And I was like, yeah, and then later, they're going to do this, and they're going to do this, and they're going to get to this point eventually. And it was kind of like I was really pushing to make things happen. And it was amazing. Once I wrote the ending, I didn't have to push so much to make them happen. It was like, oh, shit, like, this makes sense. They do the bank robbery to get the money so then they can pay this person to find out this information, which leads into the end of the book. Oh, wow, like, I kind of saw it before, but now it's so clear. It makes so much sense. Like, this is brilliant. And I went with it. So it allowed me to take a lot of plot threads and weave them together to make a sturdy rope, if you will. And I was thinking about Nubia once again. And I felt like there was a lot of plot threads that just went nowhere, and there was really no payoff. Let me explain. Throughout the book, we see a lot of situations, right? Nubia with her first boyfriend. She picks up a car. The kid's mother sees it, freaks out, calls her a freak, calls Nubia a freak, and makes it seem like Nubia is this dangerous thing, and she doesn't want that around her son. Definitely the racial undertones, but also it has to play off of the superhuman abilities. Okay, fine. Nubia stops a robbery at a convenience store. She picks up the ATM, throws it at the robber, and again, Nubia is immediately blamed. You're a thief, you're a thief. Okay, fine. So this whole time, she's very misunderstood, and no matter what she tries to do to help, it kind of gets spun against her. And like I said, to me, that sounds like a really great origin for a villain, because, they eventually would just kind of lose hope. Like, why am I even trying? And they would have so much resentment because it's like, I tried to be the good person and you guys made me the villain. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm the villain now. I think that'd be cool, but it's not for this character. It's not for Nubia. That could just be another character altogether. Anyway, so all these plot threads starting, right? I look at the convenience store thing. That's a plot thread starting. I look at there was a riot, which ended up escalating, and somebody got somebody got shot by a cop. And that was started by a group of kids that Nubia had an issue with, a group of white kids, and they basically, escalated the riot to make the black students look bad. So that was something else, and then Nubia punches this kid. He's a bully. He's a rich kid. She punches him, and he later comes back as a school shooter. And eventually, the way it concludes is she confronts him in the library. She goes there to save her friend, her one friend. And then they basically run from the kid until Nubia gets an opportunity to punch him again and, knocks him out or whatever. I don't think Nubia's killing anyone. But she knocks him out, and then the book just kind of wraps up like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, the kid who got shot, he's kind of okay, I guess. He's coming out of the hospital, and, it is what it is, all right? I punched that kid who had a gun. And there's no payoff, in my opinion. And I thought it just fucking came to me. I was like, a much better conclusion, in my opinion, for how that book could have ended, and maybe should have ended. The whole time, Nubia's misunderstood. She's trying to do good, and it's getting used against her. All right, so let's escalate. She punches the kid. He ends up bringing a gun into school. Also, every time she uses her powers, she ends up running, right? She uses her powers in front of her old boyfriend, and the mom freaks out. So Nubia and her mothers move, right? They're trying to avoid this. They don't want people to know her abilities, and she's clearly very insecure about it. So imagine this. Here's my ending. The kid has the gun at school. Nubia realizes that instead of running constantly, she needs to embrace her abilities, both as a young black woman and as a superhuman, right? As a superhero, if you will. Right? She needs to embrace this and become, this is where she gains that confidence. She steps out of her comfort zone. She gains this confidence, not running into the library and punching this kid, because guess what? You punching him is what started this in the first place. So you just punch him again? No. Imagine if, hey, there's a school shooter. So Nubia exposes herself in a way that, she's never been comfortable with people seeing before. And she starts using her abilities, her super strength and such, to break down walls, break open doors, things like that. Hey, listen, there is an active shooter. We need to go. Boom, she busts down a fucking wall, gets all the students from that classroom out. All right, Nubia, where are you going? There's more people inside. I'm going to go save them. Get out of here. Leave the premises. All right, great. So she just saved a bunch of people. She keeps going around, busting down walls and saving more people. And then finally, right, by this point, everybody's got a fucking phone on them. The cops have been called. The cops are on their way. They know it's an active shooter. So when they arrive, the cops see Nubia and they're like, freeze! Right? Which takes us back to the plot thread earlier at the riot when the cops pointed the gun at her and they ended up shooting and somebody got hurt. They point the gun at her. Freeze! You're under arrest. Wait, listen. I know what you think this looks like, but you're wrong. If you trust me, I can show you where he is. There's an active shooter in the library. I'm trying to help you. Right? She puts herself on the line a little bit. The cops have to take a little bit of a risk too and consider trusting this girl who they don't know. And then she ends up leading the cops to this kid. The cops take the kid down. Nubia is a hero. She saved a bunch of lives. She put herself out there so people now know who she is. She gains this newfound confidence in her abilities as a superhero, in her identity as a young black woman in society. And the cops, who she previously feared, and maybe they feared her, there's now this new common ground where they see each other in a new light and they have this mutual respect where it's, hey, listen, I kind of judged you because, maybe because you're black. Because that's a narrative that's really, really popular right now. I judged you because you're black. You know what? Well, I fucking judged you too because you're a white cop with a gun. But we both had the same goal in mind. The goal was to stop the shooter and to save lives. You put a little faith in me. I put a little faith in you. We fucking saved the day. Boom. To me, that closes so many plot threads, right? She's constantly running away from trouble. She's constantly hiding. Boom. Beautiful arc. Now ended. She has an issue with the police. She's viewed as, the whole marketing for this book is, can you be a superhero if society does not see you as a person? Well, now you are seen as a person. You are seen as a hero. The cops recognize you. Your fellow students recognize you. To me, it just makes way too much sense, and it provides, again, in my opinion, so much closure to this story and to these arcs. And it just, looking at that, and I'm not trying to toot my own fucking horn, but looking at that and looking at the actual finale, the other finale, it just seemed very, not even random, but just lazy and kind of like, well, we don't really, she punched the kid and he had a gun, so now what? I don't know, I guess we'll just kind of show her and her friends like being silly again and just kind of, Oscar gets out of the hospital and life goes on. Yeah, just like that. It's kind of cool. No. Anyway, please, please, please comment below and let me know what you think. I am very, if you think my ending is trash, let me know. If you like my ending, that's fucking awesome, because guess what? I'm writing my own book right now. So subscribe and you will see and hear lots more information about that coming soon. I'm almost done the writing, and then I get to start going into the daunting page layout process. I'm going to start putting character design stuff out here and ask for some feedback as far as, I already have a really strong idea of what my characters are going to look like, but as far as the finer details, it'd be great to get people's feedback and get everyone engaged. But again, comment below and let me know what you think. I would love to discuss this. Until next time, this was part 1.5, and part 2 about the artwork is coming soon. See you.